Bears. Bears Country Podcast. Welcome to Bears Country Podcast. Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here to do a Bears recap of the Browns game and talk about the 53-man roster. It's an exciting night tonight because we have our special guest is going to join us in a moment, Brad Beran from Unbearable Sports. He's a great talk. He's got an excellent show over there. You should go check him out too. And we also have, stay tuned because as we get towards the end of the show, we're going to have a surprise guest on who's going to have a very special announcement to make. And we are so excited to have him on later. So make sure you guys stick around for that. Nomad, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Man, trying to come down off cloud nine. Everything that's been happening in the last few days is just crazy, and I'm trying to pinch myself and come to grips with this is happening, man. And looking forward to hearing Brad on the show today. Want to see if we can get him a piece of what we're trying to do with this cross-pollination thing we were talking about. And I'm just excited, man, and just happy for us.
So am I, man. This is good times. We're undefeated in the preseason, and now we're undefeated in the regular season. And we have a couple of weeks to go before the season starts, and there's just a lot of excitement that's going to build up towards the beginning of the season based off of the massive high we just came off of on Saturday night against the Browns. I mean, Justin Fields, just going back and rewatching, it's just wow. So there's so much to look forward to on both sides of the ball this year, and we can't wait for the season to get started. So why don't we bring in our guest, Brad Beran from Unbearable Sports. Hey, Brad, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the Bears Country Podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Why, thank you for having me, guys. I'm so excited for this. And yeah, I'm just like what you said, Nomad, still coming off of cloud nine. I think I'm going to still stay up here for the next 2 weeks until week one, though.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Ride that high, man.
Oh, definitely. We've had a lot of lows, so that's where like definitely having these highs, rewatching the game film like as much as I can, just because it's great. It's awesome to just see what this team is capable of. I was listening to NFL Network, ESPN eating some of their words, talking smack about the Bears. Like it was nice. They had their tail between their legs. It's been a good Monday. You know what? I didn't even give them the fucking satisfaction of my view because they've been talking shit about the Bears from day one. They've been talking about Justin Fields from practically day one. And here we have a game that I don't give a shit if it was a preseason game. I've said it in abundance. He looks ready to go for the season. And if he continues and puts that what he did in that game and he puts that into the regular season, he starts off against the 49ers like that, I mean, everyone's going to be eating crow. Every one of those guys. I definitely agree with you there because, like, that's the biggest question because I see some of the points that they make where, like, if you have to cover a million teams and you see what the Bears did and you just see, like, the headlines that they lost Akeem Hicks, they lost Khalil Mack, they lost Danny Trevathan, even though he's done nothing. Like, you see all these huge names that didn't do anything last year, and you see, like, Lucas Patrick, they got Nicholas Morrow, they got these random names that aren't really household names. But what you're seeing is a well-coached team. You're seeing a team that only produced one penalty with the starters out there. And if you have a good team, you're going to win games. You're going to win some games. And I heard someone say today on one of the broadcasts, and I think it was brilliant. They're like, this doesn't mean the Bears are making the Super Bowl. What this means is people just have to eat their words that this isn't the worst team in the NFL. What you saw is a good team, darn good quarterback.
Oh, man, what do you have to say to that, buddy?
You know what?
That was a nice little rant you just went on, man. I like that little rant.
Follow that up, Nomad. I love this dude, man. He's I call him Bubbly Brad because he's just upbeat, and I just love that energy, man. And I'll be honest with you. like I watch a lot of podcasts, and sometimes everybody talking so much crap, and the media talking so much crap about the Bears. It's really refreshing to watch your show, because you just have a upbeat energy that I love, man. I just absolutely love that, man. Lean into that. And so far as but the Bears, I know. I tell you another thing. I don't know if anybody noticed that I seen not one offside penalty, not one illegal formation penalty, one holding, and that was the last game on a tight end. I can say the same thing on the defensive side of the ball. That's a lot. That's a big freaking deal, man. When you have a team that's that disciplined, you're not going to shoot yourself in the foot. You're going to put yourself in a position to be able to win games when they're tight if you're disciplined. That much I can tell you as a former football player.
I mean, just look at how much different that this team looks just in preseason compared to 17 regular games of Nagy's last season. I mean, it's a completely different team as far as their hustle, intensity, their determination, I lost my word for it. Come on, Nomad, help me out here. What's the other one I'm looking for?
I don't know what the hell you're looking for, but
come on, Brad. Hustle, determination. They're God damn it. Go ahead.
No, word on the street is Brad only ever winning 7 games, man. Do explain, brother.
So, okay. So
seven games. Yeah.
So the 7 games thing is difficult. I think that the hard part with this too. Also,
thank you, Mickey. Discipline. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
There we go. So the 7 games thing really is just because the overall team, I think we're not done yet. And I think that what we're going to see is like 7, 8 games of winning. I don't think that this team is incredible. But I think because you're well coached, because Justin Fields can take an extra step, there are still questions on this offensive line. They're still shopping for people. Tevin Jenkins, as reported, is still on the trade block. So because of that, I still have some question marks. The defense, though, does get me a little. It's not like it's going to be bad, but I'm not seeing somebody like really jump out. And it might be because Roquan Smith, our leader, isn't out there. But I just think that it's going to be a 7-8 win team. But I think then the following year, that's when we're playoff mode. We're going to be adding people. We're going to easily be in that 11 win, 12 win type of area because we got the quarterback. Now we just need some extra players out there. And we signed a lot of 1-year deals, which shows that it seems more of a stopgap than the finished product.
Nomad?
Okay. You know what? I wanted to jump him but he's a host. I mean, he's a guest, and I'm not going to do that.
I was waiting to go last.
Appreciate it.
I'm not going to do that, man. Look, all I can say is I understand I back myself off of my football understanding, my football IQ to try to look at it as a casual observer. And I understand why people are a little bit, come see, come side, and in other words, a little iffy about that. And I understand why people don't think we can win a lot of games. We don't have big names. We don't have those big marquee personalities. We have an offensive line that's been kind of playing musical chairs. I get all that. And the Tevin Jenkins thing, good Lord, man. Dude, if Schefter or what's his name? What's the other guy? Rappaport?
Yeah.
If those dudes fart, somebody's coming with their mouth wide open just to get a piece of that. And it's just bullshit, man, to be honest with you. It could be Greg Gabriel, and I agree that I thought it was a leak from the inside of the Bears to motivate Tevin Jenkins. I still believe that. I think they're just trying to push him just to see how far they can take him as far as his motivation goes. So in my eyes, I wouldn't pay any attention to it. But I'll stick to 11-6 until I think we're going 4-0 right out of the gate. And the closer we get into the season, towards the season, I will detail that as to who the teams that we play, and I will tell you why we'll beat those teams. At game 5, I don't know exactly who we're playing right off the top of my head, but I think that's a possibility of a loss. But we'll get into that at some point.
to Nomad's, everything that Nomad said, I completely agree with. My perspective on how I think we get to 11-6 is the things we talked about before. Discipline. Thank you, Mickey. Discipline was the word I was missing earlier. The discipline, the buy-in, everyone is just they're running to the ball. They have the energy. They have a new coaching staff. That you looked at Eddie Jackson in the beginning of the season. I meant to do a video on this, but we just never got around to it. I just didn't think it was the right timing for it. But Eddie Jackson in the beginning of the season at OTAs, he comes out there looking all like depressed and shitty looking, and they were asking about the hits principle, and he was talking about it, but he was like, and then you compare it to his last presser when he's gloating and glowing, and he's got this huge smile, and he's talking about how everyone is so bought into the hits principle, how he thought it was silly at first, the acronym, and now they're completely entirely bought in. He has this team believing in everything that they are teaching them, and it starts with the coach, and it goes from the next coach and the next coach down, and all the coaching that they're doing, the good coaching, the good coaches that they've gotten is inspiring this team to buy into it, and you can already see the results. So now you take that with you come up right out of the gates with two playoff teams and the 49ers and the Packers, and yeah, we all know what happens when we play the Packers, but I always like my chances against the Packers in Lambeau Field in the beginning of the season when it is warm. And especially early in the season, like now, when we have a new coaching staff. There's not going to be the same thing with the Niners. The Niners, they're not going to have anything on. All they're going to have is these few things that they saw from Saturday to really go off of, because they actually game plan for that week like it was a real season game. And then the Packers, they're only going to have one game to game plan from. There's an extra game in the season. There's an extra playoff seed added to the season. So I'm with Nomad. I think we can go right out of the gates 4-0, because if we can catch the Niners and the Packers off guard and punch them in the mouth, and then get on to the Texans game. The Texans, they do have they like to beat us in Soldier Field, but I think that game is easily winnable. I think we could easily go 4-0. And then after the Texans are the Giants, where we go to the Giants. That's an easily winnable game. I don't think that they're going to get that new coaching staff is going to do anything with Daniel Jones. I think it's another washed season for them with their quarterbacking system. And then we go on to then we're at the Vikings, and then Washington comes to Chicago. I mean, I'm just saying, anything can happen when you have the buy-in and everyone is going to the ball and they believe in everything that's going on, and you get more and more out of your players that are not necessarily household names that way, and then they become household names. If Byron Pringle catches 12 passes for 300 yards in the first game, you better damn well sure believe everyone in the next game is going to be waving around Pringles cans. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me. I see it, Brad. You're itching. I'm gonna be really short. I'm gonna be really short, and I'm gonna take you into the mind of a football player when you're around a bunch of guys that are just there, and their goal is to, okay, I'm gonna listen to what the coach is putting on the table. All right, do I actually believe this coach? Do I actually believe in what he's preaching? And do I actually believe in the guys that he got surrounding me? Do I believe in that? And thus far, I've not heard one situation and one player come out there and say, no, I'm not feeling this, or give me any inclination that he wasn't. What I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, and if you're a football player and you know what happens in the dynamic of a team, that's what you have to have first, is buy-in. You got buy-in with a bunch of talent. I don't care what their names are, where they came from, how they got to the team. If you have 53 guys that are sold in on putting this thing on field and producing, that's the name of the game. That's 50% of it. And if you put discipline in the middle of that, a team that won't shoot itself in the foot, on top of, we do have talent. We do have talent. I don't care what nobody tells you about these receivers or the offensive line, that will come together. this team has talent. We know what the defensive side can do, but the offensive side showed you a glimmer of what, and it was vanilla as hell. They showed you a glimpse of what they can freaking do when you put all those guys out there and make them threats. So I'm just saying, man, I'm trying to change your mind on that 7 wins. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think too. Also, if they drug test Aaron Rodgers before that week 2 game, maybe we can bust him for some illegal narcotic or something. So we might need to contact the NFL and try to get that arranged. Maybe he's got something out there.
Maybe you could do that with your Aston Kutcher connections.
Yeah. I do live in Wisconsin, so I'll travel up there and just.
Oh, you poor guy.
Oh, that's why I created a podcast. It's therapeutic.
Like how far into Wisconsin?
About 30 minutes north of Milwaukee. So.
Oh, okay.
Or so.
I grew up like 15, 20 minutes south of the border of Wisconsin.
Okay.
So there was plenty of Green Bay fans around there too.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine where I know when you get that far north, I've been up there plenty of times. I know when you're that far north and you live there, you are fucked, man. Everyone's got to be just riding your ass everywhere you go.
Dude, it was the worst in high school. Like the worst time was at high school. I remember when the Packers won the Super Bowl, I was in college and I was walking back and I remember walking through the dorms because I watched it at my buddy's house. We were drinking and I come back and people just start swarming me. Be like, did you see the game? Did you see the game? And I'm like, God, fuck all of you. Like, it was a good game. I enjoyed myself, but so many, like, it's just that constant hazing. And that's where
I know.
I saw someone commented on one of my videos, and I bring it up because I agree with this, that I'm not going to talk smack to Packer fans until we beat them. Until that week 2. As soon as we can get that dub, every meme that I can imagine is just being posted out there to just be like, screw you guys, we got the North.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I will not. I've run into plenty of Packer fans. I'm in the Keys in Florida, and I run into a Packer fan at lunch. He's got a shirt and a hat on, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! You're fucking everywhere. Can't you just leave me alone? You know? And we just started laughing, and we were talking about it. You know, and I'm just like, I can't, like, I wish, like, it must be nice to be you. You know, that's all I have to say to them. I nothing but respect until the time comes, and then we're gonna own the North and not give it back.
We look back at 2018 so happy, and we didn't even win 13 games, right? And they've won 13 games for 3 years straight. And like, my friends are excited to see Jordan Love because they're like, yeah, I can't wait to move on to the next quarterback because their entire lives have been Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
I said that about Aaron Rodgers, and that didn't work out very well either.
Yeah. So,
what were you gonna say, Nomad?
No, I was gonna ask Brad, did you bring that 53 with you?
Yes, I do have that. But before we get into that, I actually want to call one thing out too, just with the previous game, because as we're talking about the Bears team, I was going to mention this on my show, but I keep forgetting. And I'm like, I'm going to bring this up on Bears Countries. I got to do this. So one thing that I thought was amazing when rewatching the tape, there's one play that sticks out that kind of showcases this new scheme, this like modern scheme where you're talking about you're shifting the pile and you're also your play actions match a lot of what you have with your running game. It was like the first play of the second quarter, David Montgomery cuts it back and gets 10 yards. You would think, bravo, David Montgomery, right? But when you watch the tape, everybody moves. There's nothing happening with the line. But the guy who's supposed to close off the end to prevent that cutback is chasing after Justin Fields, who's running just like pretending like he's going to be passing it on a little bootleg. And because of that, there's nobody blocking. There's nobody covering the cutback. So Montgomery's like, okay, I'll take 10 yards and just goes right back. And that's what happens when you are just running a scheme consistently where you're doing bootlegs. You're doing a lot of these similar plays where they can't just predict this is a run, this is a pass. Now that guy who's supposed to have a role, he's now out of his position, so you can take advantage. So it's just, I'm so excited for this because we finally started to see more and more and more of this scheme. So that's where week 1, I'm pumped.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's just a little things like that when you sell the plays so well that everyone thinks you still have the ball in your hand, right? And then Montgomery is able to get that 10 yards because everyone thinks Justin Fields still has the ball in his hand. We've seen so many. Jay Cutler, he never, even if they put him out in like a wildcat and he was over, he just stood there on the sideline like, I'm not getting the fucking ball. Like, come on, dude, try to sell the play at least. And even on his like play actions, Favre did it really well, where he hit it really well and made it look like he still had the ball in his hand. He was really good with deceiving the defense, whether or not the running back had the ball or he had it, and so is Rodgers. Rodgers is good at that. Rodgers is also good at like knowing when there's an offsides and he gets a free play and he tries to get that out of it. We saw Justin Fields do that as a rookie, and if he's doing that as a rookie, we know that he's just going to progress into that, in year two. And in addition to what you were just talking about. Sorry, Nomad, go ahead, buddy.
No. I just before I say what I want to say, but just remember, guys, everybody listening and watching this show, everything Mooney told you in his presser today, he told you these plays had no hair on them. They were fucking bald. Mm-hmm. All of this stuff is just bald stuff, had no dexterity to it, and they were just running stuff. Mm-hmm. The things that they have up their sleeve, man, it's like he was talking about. He said he was just looking at a whole bunch of plays that are designed for Pettis. He kind of gave away the game. Pettis is going to make the team, but he's looking at a whole bunch of plays designed for Pettis, and he kind of sounded like he got giddy. Yeah, but right. It's man. Listen, Brad, this is going to be better than you think. You're going to be surprised, and I'm telling you, in the first 4 games, people are going to change their tone. And go ahead.
No. I was going to say, I have a feeling that by a certain point of the season, I really do feel it's possible we could have a Justin Fields MVP discussion. I really feel that way. That's how we get to 11-6 is by Justin Fields. That's it.
I see more of a Eberflus Coach of the Year more than I see a Fields MVP. I think he might be a year or two away from that, but I'm not going to say you're wrong.
Not saying he's going to get it. He just could be, it's not saying much because Rex Grossman was in the MVP discussion after like 6 games in 2006. I'm just saying like he could be in that discussion after like 6 games or something where people are going, holy shit, this kid's playing really well. It looks like he's figured it out. He knows where the plays are at. He knows where the guys are open. Like even like I think it was the second drive or the third drive of Saturday's game, the pocket collapsed and he was in a stance, but he rolled the opposite direction out to his left, and then he just kind of like flicked the ball, 6 yards for a first down, like little stuff like that you don't. It takes a special quarterback to be able to do those kinds of things, and the special quarterbacks are the ones who makes their receivers better. And
it's what he was doing with his. It was what he was doing with his eyes before he threw those balls. That's important. It was something that wasn't present last year. He's doing things with his eyes and manipulating the defense and just laying out eye candy with his face and eyes, making defenders think one thing and doing another, and that's growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that rollout that I'm pretty sure we all saw. We all probably seen it a million times. Rolls out or gets out of the pocket, looks one way, 2 guys go. Like last year, Fields throws it to the guy he was looking at, and Andy Dalton throws it there. Exactly. Trubisky throws it there, but that pro Justin Fields year 2 is smarter than that. Like he's looking that off. He's doing what Drew Brees would always do. I always see him looking one way, throws it the other. So, and also it's Getsy's first year. Even Matt Nagy had a good offensive year his first year, and that's something that's going to be interesting to see. And the thing that's going to be very interesting with these first 2 weeks are here's Getsy come into Shanahan's system and also the Packers. So that's the one where I'm a little like, I want them to go out guns a-blazing, but these guys wrote the book on what Getsy's going off of. So that's where it will be a little interesting. I wish it wasn't them at the beginning. I wish it was the Texans to just, rub it into Lovie Smith. But I think that overall this offense will definitely 100% look better.
You got to admit that's the best time to beat them in Lambeau Field, right? They're not. They may know what their formations look like and how to defend them, but
True.
they may not know the play calling and how Getsy's going to do what he does in different orders of play calling. But that's why I have a loss the second time they play.
Yeah,
because by then I think they'll have that figured out. So if you could just get out of the gates undefeated at 4-0, the sky's the limit from there, right?
I just wanted to ask him something. In your player groups, give me a group of a position room that really lights your eyes up, and tell me why. Any group.
Ooh. So the position group that lights my eyes up, I got two. The first one that came to mind, and it might be because I got a Wisconsin glass with me right next to me. I like these linebackers because, dude, Jack Sanborn, DeMarquise Gates, like, I love what they're bringing to the table. Seeing them side by side, like in the preseason, is something that I love watching because Sanborn he's got great feet. He understands, like, even watching some Nicholas Morrow, he's overcommitting to the run. He's not a good run stuffer, but you see Sanborn, he's not getting too caught up in some of the traffic through the tape. And him and Gates have been great. But the other one that's probably safer, I'd say, is the safety group. I think that the safety group, you look at the entire group we got, just studs. I think Eddie Jackson's going to have a bounce back year now that there's a fire lit underneath him. Then you got Brisker, who can at least who can do it all. He was my number one pure safety over a Kyle Hamilton because I think Hamilton was a gimmick guy that's like the big athlete. But Brisker, you just knew he was a plug and play safety. He just showed everything that you need, while Hamilton didn't show as much overall. Just was like, he has the superstardom potential, which made him go a little bit earlier. But DHC, Dane Cruikshank, like those position groups, I feel have so much talent and so much potential talent as well.
That we're going to be
just one more
guys.
Quick question, Shorty. One more really quick. I got to ask him. And it's a very important question because, I want you to really think about this one because it's a hard one to really answer. Ready?
Sounds good.
Would you send Jack Sanborn a Valentine's Day card?
2. I'd send him 2 just to make sure that he understands my love for him.
Nice answer. So where do you feel Jack Sanborn fits on this team?
To me, I like him at that middle linebacker. I know that he was playing some middle, some will, but to me, it's whenever he can be on the field. I think that even just as like Sam linebacker spot, he, like I was saying, his feet have been phenomenal. So have him in there. And like I was mentioned before, a lot of one-year deals, Joe Thomas, Matt Adams, Nicholas Morrow. Let's see what Sanborn has to offer. I'm taking this year like the Cubs when they brought up Chris Bryant. Bring up some young talent, see what they got, and then you know what you have for next year. Now, next year, do we need a left tackle because of Braxton Jones? Do we need to get a new linebacker? So I like him everywhere, but I think that he's going to most likely be a middle.
I would agree with you on that. Yeah. That would, where do you put Morrow then? You just talk about like swapping in and out, keeping the defense fresh. Cause that's what Eberflus has said many times he's going to do. I think he said that he wants the starters to play only like 65% of the snaps or something when he first was interviewed after he was hired. So the rotation that he's going to have probably would benefit having a Sanborn to put there in the Mike position, because what the dude just balls out. And there's a difference between, you just know when you see a baller, right? When somebody's on the field and they're just in every fucking play, you're like, Jesus, Sanborn again? You got to get those guys on the field somehow, right?
You do. And that's where, like, I think that he's a true Mike, but I think that if you can get him on the field as a Sam, then then the better. But because even like looking at these linebackers, one of the hardest groupings for me to predict was this linebacker group, because you could go with 5, you could go with 6. You don't really know. But also, this is a group where the special teamer is usually sitting there going, the special teams coach is saying, I need Caleb Johnson on my special teams. I need this guy. But the benefit, Sanborn seemed to always be in on like every time that they punted it away. He always seemed to be there. So to me, I would like to see him as the Sam, but then maybe next year, now you have a year of seeing his practice film. And now you go, all right, Morrow, it's been real. You can come back as Will if we are going to trade Roquan Smith, depending on what they want to do. But if we're not going to trade Roquan and we're going to keep him, thanks for your service, Nicholas Morrow. We got Jack Sanborn now.
It's a bold statement because Nicholas Morrow had a pretty good game.
I think he's a good cover. And yeah, it's like, it's no hardship towards Morrow. I think that he's a good cover guy. And I think especially with the league being more of a passing league, another thing you were talking about, the 60%, I'm making this up on the spot, but you could even have Sanborn be early middle linebacker if you really wanted to see what he was capable of later on in the year or something like that. And then Morrow is more of that dime linebacker that's kind of coming in and kind of doing more of that coverage stuff. So lots of stuff that they could do out there. But I just like the young talent that you can get, and you get them on a low cost so that you can allocate your resources somewhere else to build the team around Fields.
Excellent.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting, guys, because I see a couple, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I see a couple of position groups that I think are the weaker points on the team, and linebacker would be one of them. And I don't mean to piss in your Cheerios about Jack Sanborn, but to be honest with you, man, he's a very good football player. And I've said this a couple times on the pod. He's a very good football player, no doubt about it. He uses his head. He's constantly in the right alignment to be able to make plays, and that's important from a defensive player. Just being in position to be able to react and make a play on the ball. However, you put that guy in a situation where he's forced to cover down the field. I'm not talking about on an out route or a wheel. I'm talking about down the field where you have to chase a player who's in the slot, whether it be a running back, whether it be a slot receiver, a tight end, he's in trouble. Now, what I mean by that is I think there's a clear distinction. I think we have a Roquan Smith and a Nicholas Morrow and a really clear drop-off after that. To me, I think it's one of the weaker positions on the team. Jack Sanborn is a nice player. He probably will make the roster on special teams, but could back up as a Sam, could actually start as a Sam. But I don't want that guy in coverage on, let's say, a Deebo Samuels in the first game. I think he's in trouble.
That's a good point. He's got little arms. He's like your stereotype of like a Wisconsin linebacker, like TJ Edwards coming out. It's like he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's just a little slow, or he's got some like smaller arms, and it is a small sample size. And I think that's where, like, yeah, you build him up into what you could potentially potentially the Sam linebacker, get some practice reps there. But yeah, it's definitely a fair point, because I know before seeing them out there, I was saying the same thing. It's like weakest group because weakest one of the weaker groups, but I like what they have there, but maybe not this year.
Man, why are you shitting all over Sanborn, Nomad?
I'm not, man. Actually,
Jordan
is making a pretty good point, and I'm not saying it because he's agreeing with me, but actually he knows what he's looking at up there. Look at what he's saying in there.
I'm a big fan of Sanborn. This one.
No, he's saying Nomad spot on here. He's a hook and curl.
Oops, sorry.
I'm
sorry, Kitty.
Well,
yeah. That's what he's saying is actually A1 correct.
Well, I think that the best point about Sanborn was made by Renewable and Rechargeable Review, where have you seen his neck? His neck. That screams starting linebacker.
Right.
Starting Sam linebacker. He's a box defender. He's a box defender, and you don't want to depend on him outside of the box, is what I was trying to say.
Like a Paul Puzlensky type of neck. But yeah, I see your point with that. That was his biggest question mark coming out. So
okay, I'll give you that.
I don't mean to piss on him, man. I don't mean to piss on him. I know a lot of fans love the guy. I like him. I like him as a player, but I just question his ability to be able to cover downfield. That's my only argument, man.
Yeah.
And I was just about to go on a rant about him, but you made a good point. Like he's an in the box player. I was gonna talk about how his interception was ultimately in the box, so he got the interception. But he was covering the tight end on that interception in the first game, and he got he picked off the ball. So what I like about him in that situation is his instincts and his just football intelligence. But once you start getting outside of that box, to your point, Nomad, yeah, that could be a little bit of an issue. But I don't ever see them that they would actually have Sanborn on a Deebo Samuel. It'd be somebody else is going to be covering a Deebo Samuel if Sanborn is in the game.
Plays break down, and
that's where he's there to clean that shit up. When the play breaks down, Sanborn's there to clean that shit up, bro.
No, it could get mixed up in while the play is being transitioned to somebody's ear. It could be confusion, and if he's in there as a Mike linebacker, they have a default to fall into as a defense. Okay, if everything breaks down and don't nobody in this motherfucker know what's going on, then the Mike needs to go and grab either the running back or the player in the slot. Everybody knows that, and so that can happen. And then you're stuck unless somebody calls a timeout.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying.
And I will say at training camp, he was Sanborn was getting cooked in one-on-ones. I mean, it is one-on-one, so normally people get cooked, but he was getting a little embarrassed out there. So with time, but yeah, Sam, that's why we're like looking at the Sam could be the best spot.
Yeah, for now, yeah, for sure. To get on the field.
So what's your if that's your good that's what lights your eyes up, what are you down on?
Down on, let's see, quarterback. Just kidding. No, I am defensive tackle. By far.
Me too.
Oh yeah. I'm with you.
I'm going here, and all of a sudden I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
Like I'm not an Angelo Blackson fan. I know that he had some splash plays last year, and I think like they're good plays. But the one thing that I think we're missing out here is we need just an anchor. And Kairos Tonga is what, like, half the weight of a house, but he still can't anchor down. Like he gets too high with his pad level. It's just he needs to anchor down. And I don't think it just seems super, super weak out there. And let's be honest, none of us really knew who Justin Jones was coming out. He hasn't been bad, but we lost so much in the middle. When Akeem Hicks was healthy, like he didn't miss every single game, but even like Bilal Nichols was the epitome of a replaceable player. Just like the epitome of like, all right, this guy's a 75 in Madden, or like just like the most basic guy. But that's where we just lost so much and we didn't add that much. And that's my biggest worry about just this entire defense is I'm running straight ahead, right in the middle, and hopefully someone can block a linebacker.
I gotta let Shorty get a piece of this. You want to go first, man? Because he said something that I want to key in on.
I would just say that Justin Jones is basically replacing Bilal Nichols, right? So you replaced a 75 with a 75 in Madden, right? And you lost Akeem Hicks he could have played nose. He could have even played some 3. I mean, he's that athletic. I agree with what you're saying about Tonga, and his pad level is a little too high, and he kind of gets pushed back. That's my biggest concern as well. I'll let you got the floor, Nomad.
No. You know what, Tonga? I need people to understand that in his position. Before I talk about something else, he said something about blacks, and I wanted to touch on. But Tonga, I think, is kind of getting. He may have a slightly high pad level. I haven't really got into that much, but from what I see, just quickly watching the game as a fan and not getting too much into the details, I know that he absorbs a lot of double teams, and that's what his position calls for. Be enough of a presence to force a team to make them double team. That's what he does. I mean, his job isn't to go in there and just rip through and get into the backfield. Yes, if he's a one-on-one guy that in that play. But if he's double teaming this guy, his job is to maintain that double team and get someone else free.
You see what Jordan here said to you when you're done talking?
What's he saying?
Shit, I'll eat some crow right now. I said Trayvon Coley was a depth bottom of the roster guy. That dude shut me the hell up in preseason games. And then he says,
yeah. I mean, what he's saying is the asshole truth about it is Trayvon Coley lived in the opponent's backfield entire preseason that he played. What did he play? 2 games? He lived in the backfield more than any other Bears player. I don't care who you choose on that defensive line. Go back and look at those games, and he absolutely set up a flag in the in the offensive backfield. He did. I mean, and does that warrant him a roster spot? In my eyes, it does. He's a unique, probably about 6 foot, maybe less than that, probably about almost 300 pounds, unique, big fat pumpkin ass. And he's just got a lot of power. I mean, big beach ball ass. He's got a lot of power and torque, and he's got great hand work. And he's a great hand fighter, I'm noticing, and he gets in there. It's just because he's so low to the ground, and that's hard to defend.
And you made a good point. You've been making a good point for several podcasts that he didn't play last season. So the fact that he's able to come in and perform that well, I think that should warrant him a spot on the team, I would think. You know?
I mean, it's his body type and his intensity. He's built low to the ground, man, and he's intense. And that's hard to deal with when you're a 6'4", 6'5", 300+ pound guy trying to keep this little motherfucker out of there. It's hard because you're going to over leverage yourself.
It's got that low base, low center of gravity, and a real solid, core, right?
He's like a bowling ball with a pack of dynamite in his back pocket, man. He's bad. It's just. But Blackson, I disagree with you about Blackson, man. I think he's poised. I think he is the most disruptive guy out of everybody that's starting on the defensive line. All of them. I think he is easily the most disruptive one.
How so? Like even more so than Quinn, Gibson?
Robert Quinn, I'll take that back. Robert Quinn
you're just talking about the defensive tackles.
I meant to omit that. My bad. I meant to pull that out. But outside of Quinn, I think he's your most explosive player. I think he's going to have probably a better season than a lot of people think he is. All he has to do, last year he had to think a little bit and kind of worry about pulling back in coverage. All he has to do now is put his freaking fingers in the dirt and be fucking disruptive. And he is better than capable of doing that.
Yeah, I agree there. And like, so what kind of stands out for you then with Blackson? Because like with Tonga, I know like my biggest point with him was just like, because what you're talking about with like the one tech, he needs to take out blocks, but I just see him not holding the wall too much. I see him being pushed back too much. But what's your point with like Blackson that you're seeing? Just hand fighting on passing downs and getting in the backfield?
Wait a minute now. If you and Shorty got on me, and as strong as I think I am, you guys are gonna get leverage on me. 2 people, it's just nature, man. Gravity is gonna work like that. I mean, but that's what his job is. His job is to absorb space and absorb a certain amount of contact so that other guys get the ability to have one-on-ones. So that's just his job. It's the nature of the business for him. However, Blackson, I thought he was a lot smaller player than he actually is, maybe because sometimes he played alongside Akeem Hicks. But he turns out the guy's like 6'4", 6'5", and a little bit heavier than I thought he was. He's big, and he's really athletic. I mean, really athletic. I mean, if you watch his film, man, the first thing that's going to stand out to you is how fast he is off the ball, how quick he gets to the point of attack and sheds that person that's on him and makes a penetration into the backfield. You'll see that, and that's a constant. It's not like, okay, it happens once or twice in a game. No, that's a constant with him. And all he has to do is focus on that while he's playing for the Bears, and I think he's going to have a big year.
6'4", 315.
Big boy.
Yeah. A lot bigger than expected.
Thank you, Kitty.
Yeah.
I was hoping Kitty was going to pull that up. Good job. Yeah,
He's a big dude, man.
I have him. He's making the roster to me. Why don't we get into that? Why don't we talk about the fifth? What do you have for your 53-man roster?
Let's see. So one of the big questions that I had was, so I think when like going through the 53, it was always difficult to kind of figure out absolutely everybody. I'm trying to predict what the Bears are doing. And I kind of want to start with this offensive line, actually, because this offensive line, I think, is the most interesting. Because right now I have 9 people for this offensive line. And I have, obviously, the starting lineup: Braxton Jones, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum. And we might see, like, the rumors that are going out according, I think it was Rap Sheet that was posting this.
Can you repeat that again? How many?
The starters: Braxton Jones, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, Tevin Jenkins, and Larry Borum.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. But then the rumors, I believe it was Rap Sheet, saying that the Bears are trying to acquire offensive line help. And it was defined as help, not like a starter or something like that. So the backups, though, that I have are Latavius Simmons. He's been balling out. Sam Mustipher, Michael Schofield, who I'm still like iffy if he's actually going to make the roster, and Riley Reif.
That's who I have too. I have Jones, Borum, starters obviously, Jenkins, Lucas Patrick, starting center, Whitehair, and then the backups I actually have him keeping Mustipher and Iceland because I think they can use Iceland as a guard. But what do you have in there? Patrick Scales?
So, oh crap!
We need our long snapper,
actually, no.
right?
No, I have that out there on my other, like, the other 3 roster spots. So I don't have him counted as a actual offensive lineman.
I'm down to 3 roster spots too. I hear you.
I just was like, okay, we're getting to 50 and we're just going to go out there. But one thing though, because I've seen a lot of people put Dieter on the active roster or like have the 3. And one thing that I think that the Bears are going to do is I could see them keeping him on the practice squad and then leveraging that COVID rule where you can elevate someone off the practice squad. I feel like they might do something like that where Lucas Patrick might be out for, we don't know how long. He could be back week 1. He could be back week 2. Or
week 3, right?
Yeah, we don't really know. And that's where I think, like, if you have Dieter on the practice squad, you can elevate him the day of. And now you have at least a backup center in case if Mustipher goes down or something else happens, depending on how many that you have out there. So that's how I would at least kind of strategize with it, just to be able to elevate come game day. And I think you can only do it like 4 times. It's something weird. I was reviewing the rule. I'm like, I don't remember seeing that. But, yeah.
It's crazy that they still have that.
Mind if I get 2 cents in there?
Yeah.
Please.
Look, renewable and rechargeable review. My guy in there, he said something we were on a different pod and we were in the chat. Right as I was thinking it, he fucking said it and it aggravated me, but he beat me to it. So I'm gonna repeat and give him his flowers. He said that I was thinking that Dieter made enough progress as a center and made enough of a presence as a center toward keeping him as a backup center and sliding Mustipher over to guard, which he has been practicing all OTAs. We know Sam Mustipher can slide in and play center, no doubt about it. But if you have a guy that is showing improvement and showing presence, he looks natural. When I say natural, he has an absolute presence at center that I haven't seen actually since Olin. He's a presence at center, man, and he's improving. He is a work in progress, and Brad is right, man. It's probably more than likely they try to figure out a way to put him on the practice squad. But I'm telling you, I've seen some good things in that dude. Matter of fact, I've seen some really good things in him for a guy that hasn't played the position long at all. This is the only offseason that he's played the position of center. So consider that before you start thinking about all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't even, when I was making my list, I didn't even have Schofield making the team, to be honest.
Yeah, he's a weird one just because I feel like Schofield, I think he's kind of not fully redeemed himself the past 2 games. I didn't think he was bad the last 2, but it goes back to that. Do you want to give someone else a shot? You have 2 rookie guards that you drafted that, like, Ja'Tyree Carter to me wasn't awful, but he wasn't impressive. I like Carter more than Thomas. So maybe even Carter comes in just so that you keep that rookie contract. So you still have those 4 years of control. And then, like I was mentioning about Dieter, then you bring him up when necessary. But yeah, Schofield, it just seems like after that first game, they're like, this wasn't what we wanted. So I have that, even though that he's on my roster, I have that sneaky suspicion he's probably going to get cut.
It's not like they can't. With Schofield, I actually Reef's contract is quite interesting, but I don't want to get all hairy into those details. But Schofield isn't a guy that, I mean, this league is full of really, really good guards, and I mean that's a heavily loaded position in this league. And teams like Baltimore, teams like Tennessee, teams like San Fran that draft really well, especially at those positions, they'll just be overloaded and just have too many of them and just have to cut somebody. And you can get better at that position like overnight. True. So it's not a thing that, okay, if Schofield doesn't work out, we're in fucking trouble. No, we're not. We'll be back.
By the way, everyone who is watching, everyone in chat, please make sure that you continue to hang on to the end of the show because we have a surprise guest coming on with a special announcement. So make sure that you keep watching us because it's going to get interesting soon.
Yeah, they haven't even told me, so I'm sticking on all the way through too because I'm excited to hear this.
All right, so let's just kind of go down. We kind of did. Let's just start with quarterback. Do you guys think we're keeping 3?
I got 2.
Me too.
Yeah, Peterman on the practice squad. I feel like you're safe to do that.
How about Peterman at a grocery store, putting groceries in a bag? How about that?
Yeah, I think that would be better. I want someone with upside. Like that's the worst part about it is like seeing him come in during the third and fourth quarter, and you don't have like the Caleb Haney's where you can just like cheer and be like, this guy's incredible. Like you know what Nathan Peterman is. He throws as well as I do downfield. Like it's just lame duck city. Like
he's got like someone else. He's got more interceptions than touchdowns in his career by a mile.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got a question for both.
I'd rather they have an undrafted free agent or like someone they drafted in the 7th round that we can at least have hope in the game in the preseason. Go ahead, Nomad.
I got a question for both of y'all. If you were a coach and you seen X amount of players on the free agent market or on the waiver wire, better players than Peterman, better athletes, better everything. How long do you think it would take for that guy to understand the playbook, be able to go out there and execute the playbook? How long do you think that takes?
Yeah, it takes a while.
Just think about that before you make a decision about whether to throw Peterman to the Wolves. I mean, coaches don't want to really have to do that all over again, bring a brand new guy in there, teach him everything. You know what I mean? That's just something they consider before Peterman is a bad quarterback, just flat out. But coaches think about other things other than what we think about.
Right. He can run our offense if we need to have him in the game. It's better than having a running back play quarterback if we have to have that. You know what I mean? So practice squad?
Yeah. No. You make a good point. You make a good point out there. So
they'll find a better quarterback that can run that West Coast style of offense than Peterman. Peterman was the guy that they invested time and effort into, but there's probably somebody better. If they keep Peterman, I wouldn't be surprised. If they let him go, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, how about running back? 3 or 4 running backs? not
Four, easy.
including Blazing Game.
I hate
Four,
myself for
easy.
this, but I have 3 because I couldn't find a spot. But I don't agree with my 3. I just couldn't find. I was like, I'm just going to cut him, and I'm just going to have him on the practice squad, and you can elevate. You have him and Dieter elevate for the early times. And, yeah, that would be Darrington Evans. But, yeah, I don't feel good saying it. I said it on my show, and I was still like. But the only thing, though, too, is the Green Bay Packers only had 3 on their roster when they went into the season. And if it is going to be, and they have more of a running back by committee approach than what I think we're going to do now, because Montgomery has shown that he's number 1. So it's something that could happen, but I don't think it's likely.
Didn't you say you had 3 roster spots left over though?
No, 3 at the end for the kicker, punter, and
okay,
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, Patrick Scales. Yeah, the long snapper. Gotcha.
What did I say in your show yesterday, Brad? How many did I tell you yesterday?
It was 4.
And why?
Yeah, because of the heavy run.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Consider that. I mean, whether he stays on the active roster or whether he's on the practice squad, I think it's incumbent upon them to make sure they have an extra running back, because if you're going to run that heavy and be that physical a presence on the offensive side of the ball, you need to have depth. You have to have it.
So how about wide receiver? What do you guys think about that position?
7
here too.
I got 7 and I cheated and put N'Keal Harry on the pup list.
Me too.
Yep.
So who are your?
I think he's going to be cut.
Oh,
okay. You think Harry?
But yeah, man, I don't think they have the time nor the. They're not in a situation where they're, you can't afford. To me, in my eyes, I don't know how severe his injury is, and I think it'll be determined on whether or not they put him on IR. If they put him on IR, I don't feel like they have time to wait on him to get healthy. Now, I think they make a move.
Yeah,
so who? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think and to that point too, Poles might if he's not on PUP, I could see Poles. He doesn't seem like the guy that would cut him, and people would be like, "You traded a 7th." He'd be like, "He didn't make the team." So be it. We took a shot. That's what we did. But I feel like for me, it was Darnell, Pringle, EQ, Bayless, Pettis, and Sharp.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I have too. Except Go ahead, buddy.
Go, Shorty. My bad, man.
I'm just saying I disagree with you on what you just said, Brad. That I think that Poles will not want to eat that 7th round draft pick and look like shit in the fans of Bears fans, or in the eyes of Bears fans. So I think that's how I think N'Keal ends up making the team, because I think he feels once he's healthy, he does have value to the team in some other, maybe some different scheming of offensive plays and stuff. So I just think that the opposite to what you said, I think he's going to keep him because he doesn't want to eat shit on trading that 7th round pick, because I think he values picks probably the most of any general manager we've ever seen run the Chicago Bears. That's how he makes me feel. When you turn 5 picks into 11 after Pace constantly turning 7 picks into 5, it just seems like he really is actually going to finally stick to building through the draft. And if he's going to use the 7th round draft pick on somebody like N'Keal Harry, I believe that in the back of his mind, he's just going to go, it's a wasted draft pick and I can't do it.
Yeah,
I could be wrong though.
One reason why I think that he might is also I think that he's a robot. I think what I like about him, what I like about Poles is that he takes the emotion out of everything. Because if he's an emotional GM, he's signing Roquan to whatever he wants, and he's going, we need this. But instead he's saying, this is the money that I'm going to offer you, and your position is this valuable. And if you're not there, I'm going to moneyball your ass, and I'm going to trade you out of here, and we'll do something. And that's where too, I think maybe with him trading down, the more that you hit, it's proven that there's really no such thing as a good drafter. You need lottery tickets. You need those draft picks. And I think he's so big into the analytics of it that yeah, maybe I think when he thinks that Harry has nothing, I think he's going to kick him out. I think he's going to kick him out, but it could be, hey, I haven't seen him for the next couple. He needs to see a couple more weeks, to your point, Shorty, where maybe he does make it just for the next couple weeks. And if he doesn't prove anything, then he goes, all right, see you, man.
That's a great counterpoint to that. I can get behind what you just said, because he might just figure that he could trade down in the next draft and make up that 7th round pick, right?
Yeah, and go, I did this like 5 times last draft.
Yeah, exactly. 6, right?
Yeah.
So how about
guys, the thing I would say to that is I think whatever we're seeing and whatever we're thinking poses a few steps ahead of that. Before he made that trade gave up a 7th round pick, he probably figured out a way, and it's probably a couple of players on the team now that he sees as an opportunity to be able to get that 7th round pick back and some. You know, I'll tell you what I've seen on the surface and what my mind comes up with when it comes to that. And I got to be really quick because it's some serious weather over my head, and I don't know how long before we need to wrap this thing. But look, I think Gibson, his situation is very curious. I don't care what anybody says. If you have a projected starter playing 4 quarters that hasn't missed a day of OTAs, not one freaking day of OTAs, that's playing 4 quarters, there's something about him that they wanted to see in that 4 quarters that make them change their minds about whether or not to keep him or put him on the trade market. That's just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I haven't seen Mario Edwards on the injured list, or I haven't seen him in any kind of situation where injury is a situation. He just hasn't been out there. And that makes me believe that there's something about him. Maybe he hasn't bought into what Eberflus is preaching or something. There's something about that guy that makes him, okay, we just won't play him. And then when the time comes, we'll put him on the market and see what we can get for him. So that's why I think that 7th round pick is nothing to pose, because I think he feels like he can get something back for that.
You said this on our last podcast that talked about Travis Gibson possibly because he was playing the entire game. So you were curious as to why.
Yeah, it's interesting to me.
So you go ahead, Brad.
The play talks, like it really does. Like when you see somebody out there it was weird because it's like, well, this should just be Sam Kamara and this should be Charles Snowden and that's it. But yeah, I thought it was weird too. And the thing with Travis Gibson as well is he's got the traits he can make someone miss, but his discipline is the biggest thing. That this team's about being in your spot. This team's about playing your role. And Travis Gibson can beat his guy, but does he fill his role? Is he disciplined? There's so many times in running plays where he's just like you needed to seal the edge there. You needed to do something, and he's just not there. So that's a good point. And I love the guy, but I'm nervous about it.
I know.
You want me to tell you?
You
want me to tell you what my instincts tell me about him? Is I've seen pretty good power out of Travis Gibson. He's able to collapse a pocket and put pressure on the outside of that pocket and cave it in. But his speed getting around the edge, just being fast off the ball and getting around a corner, I have not seen that. And if you listen to his presser, he will identify that for you. He said that it's a topic, something that he needs to work on. So I think, and Eberflus's scheme is all about speed off the edge. It's all about speed and being able to collapse a pocket from the outside and on the inside. If he can't do it from the outside, I'm pretty sure they're probably thinking, okay, if he's not the guy, he's pretty good trade value, and we can get something else and get better from trading him. So this is what I'm thinking. I wouldn't be surprised if he's out there.
That's a good point. You're kind of jumping all over the place. Now you're on defensive line now. Were we done with wide receiver?
No, I'm trying to get a lot out, man, because I know this is over my head.
You're trying to spit it out because,
we probably need to wrap it, man, if you want me in this thing, because it's not going to be good in a few minutes.
Okay, all right, we can do that. All right, so We're trying to get through the 53-man roster, but we got some shitty weather over in Nomad's area, and he might lose his connection because I know that I had the same thing happen to me when we were just doing our podcast from Florida. It was like a fucking microburst came through every single day and almost took out our internet. In fact, it did once. One of our entire shows was like blurry because of it. So, I mean, there's if you want to check out the 53-man roster breakdown, go to Unbearable Sports with Brad, and he has it all laid out for you. And you can go through his 53-man breakdown. It's really just, at this point, it's not really that important, right? Because we still have a couple of weeks left, and it's going to happen within the next few days. And it's just going to be what it is anyway. And then we can all just kind of talk about it after it happens, right?
For sure. It's like, that's going to be relevant for the next couple hours. And even then, like, we already saw John Alexander get cut. We already saw others get cut. Like, yeah, all the cuts are going to be flying in tomorrow. So, yeah,
I mean, there's a couple of guys that you can say they're the bubble guys. You can go, okay, well, it's between this guy and this guy, but we all pretty much know who's going to be on the team. It's just those bubble guys that everyone's just trying to talk about.
For sure.
So,
I want to give Brad a chance to tell us the direction of your show, man, and where you going with this thing before you get out of here.
Yeah. So first off, thanks so much, guys. This was awesome. This is so much fun. I felt like I needed to grab a beer. Like, this was awesome to be talking.
Should have.
I know. I was like coming down. I'm like, nah. But I should have. So thank you guys so much for having me. And yeah, so you can follow me at Unbearable Sport out on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. You can just search for the Unbearable Sports Show podcast or YouTube. But thank you guys so much. And yeah, I got to have you guys on. We're covering, I might have like a betting episode and get some people on and start talking about sports bets to make. But yeah, we're going to be previewing all the games coming up. And also I might try and have some people from opposing teams to kind of break down their teams to get their opinions. And then they'll talk smack about us. Then we'll kick their ass. So
fun, man. That's awesome. I mean,
my man.
No, we would love to have you back on anytime you want, man. You were under a Rolodex. This has been a great show with you. If it wasn't for the shitty weather, we'd keep going, and because we had more to break down. But we can have you on again. I mean, you've been an awesome guest. Your show is awesome. Love watching it. Love your personality. You've got a great vibe going on with it. Make sure you like and subscribe to Bears Country Podcast, as we did to you.
Oh, you better believe it. I think I already did. I'll double check that, and if I didn't, then I'll do it. And also, I'll just let everyone know too. We're running a on the show. We donate 20% of what we make over to charities. So Ashton Kutcher's Thorn organization, we're contributing money over there. So if you rate the show 5 stars on Spotify, I'm putting up my own money, extra dollars for every 5-star review out there. So it helps combat human trafficking. So great causes. So thanks everyone that listens, because it just helps out. So
dude, that is so admirable, man. Awesome.
I love it, man. I love it. I love
Good
it.
for you, man.
This ain't the end. This ain't the end, man. This is the beginning.
For sure.
Brad,
this is
gonna be back, man.
This is the beginning, Brad. But stick around, because we're going to bring on. We have a very special guest here that we're going to bring on, a surprise guest that he wants to make a very special announcement, and we want you to meet him. So why don't we bring him in right now, Kitty?
Hey!
Whoa!
Oh!
What a great show!
Hold on! Oh no! Don't say nothing. Hold on! Drum roll. The man of the hour, too sweet to be fucking sour. Aldo fucking Gandia. Give it to
I love it. Thank you very much. Great show, Brad. You are a great guest. I want to extend an invitation to our Bear debate show that's on Thursdays. I'll send you a note, and would love to have you on upcoming shows. So this is fantastic.
Sounds good.
Nomad and Mr. Shorty, fantastic job. Kitty as your producer. What a man. I wish I had a Kitty producing my shows. That is great. Yeah, and
Kitty Cat does a great job.
Yeah, she really does. And I do have a special announcement. You know, I at the Barroom Network, I'm the president of the Barroom Network, and we've been doing shows or podcasting or blogging since 2014. And we're looking to blanket Chicago Bears coverage, fresh material every day of the week. And an opening happened up on Mondays. So I said to myself, who can I find that is really passionate about the Chicago Bears? Yeah, exactly. Who can I find who is smart and shares opinions that people will value? Yeah. You know what? I think I know two guys who are just started their own show, Nomad and Mr. Shorty.
Oh, he's talking about us?
That was a joke.
Give it to him.
I looked the wrong way. I meant to look at you, Nomad.
I just want to say this. I love Aldo's show, and I am very new to the podcast genre. I got out here, and I've been a part of several podcasts and watched several podcasts, and there's one that I really gravitated to, and one that I really fell in love with, and it's part the reason of that guy down at the left bottom of the screen. That guy right there. And that's why when we get over on the bar room, I'm gonna give him what he wants. And we're gonna blow this shit up. I'm just telling you right now, be ready.
We're gonna blow this shit up. So why don't you kind of just kind of talk about what's happening here with Bears Country Podcast and Barroom Network, Aldo?
Yes, indeed. Bears Country Podcast is starting their own endeavor, which all of you in the live chat room.
Oh, really?
He's keeping us waiting.
Hey, he's in the area, man. He's in the area. It's going to happen to me in due time.
It's your storm, yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Damn. This is good, too.
He's just, there we go. There we go.
I'm back. Sorry.
You have the same weather.
Yes, exactly. So the enterprise that Bears Country Podcast has started is one that clearly is going places. And so we wanted to partner up together, Barroom Network and Bears Country Podcast. And so the proposition that I had for Nomad and Mr. Shorty and for Kitty is that they bring their show, an hour-long show on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central, and talk Bears. Do what you have been doing here with your great guests, with your knowledge, and also continue on your own enterprise here on the Bears Country Podcast YouTube site. So this is a collaboration, bringing two entities together to cross-pollination. That's the word. To share audiences, share resources, and grow together. Because there's an old saying in corporations and politics that we are all better together. And so that was the thinking behind what we've put together here. And I am as excited as Nomad, as excited as Mr. Shorty, as excited as anybody about this, because these two guys have incredible talent. And I feel very, very fortunate that they'll be sharing their program on the Barroom Network Mondays at 7 p.m. But you can still find them here on our own channel.
Here on our own channel on Bears Country Podcast, yes.
It's like we just got invited to the barbecue, damn it. And it's the best thing ever, man.
So to clarify what Aldo is saying is we're going to be moving this Monday night live streaming Bears Country Podcast to the Barroom Network site. It's going to remain under. Yes. I was just finishing off for you, Aldo.
I'm sorry. Say that again. I got kicked out. The internet is misbehaving.
I was just wrapping up what you were saying, that we're going to be moving this Bears Country Podcast live on Monday nights to Barroom Network on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be doing it for an hour during the baseball season. Once the baseball season is over, then we'll be able to go a little bit longer after that. In addition to that, we are going to keep our own site here on this Bears Country Podcast channel. It is going to be in association with Bears Country or with Barroom Network. And when we're on Barroom Network, we're going to be presented by. So think of it like this. NBC just picked up our show and wants us to do Monday night for them. And we're doing our show on Monday night on NBC. It's known as the Barroom Network in YouTube world with the great Aldo Gandia. And we're going to be able to continue to remain on our own podcast channel in the meantime, for all the other content that we put out during the rest of the week. So it's a very exciting venture for all of us. We're all going to have a fucking blast doing this. And Nomad and I, Aldo, want to extend our deepest thank yous to you. This is an amazing opportunity, and we're just grateful to you. And you're just an awesome dude, and we're just happy to know you, man. You just watching your content on Barroom is awesome, and it jives perfectly with what we do, and it's a great partnership for all of us, and we're all excited.
Thank you very much for the compliment, the kind words, and it goes right back at you. I love working with young talent. I told you guys this. Innovation generally comes from new faces, new voices, people sometimes who have never done stuff before. They've got their own ideas. Hey, what do we try that? You guys have always done it this way. Why not try it that way? That's where innovation comes from. That's where fresh programming comes from. And so to have Mr. Shorty and Nomad bring their show over on Monday nights to the Barroom Network is a thrill for me. And I'm excited about what you guys are going to be churning out.
Thank you, man.
You know what, man? Nothing is stopping on either end of both of these entities. We're just gaining ground on both ends. Mm-hmm. Aldo just gave birth to a big fat fucking baby is what he just did. A really big fat one. Big fat motherfucker that just wanted
like a Trayvon Coley.
I love it. I love that.
Big fat baby that wants to suck titties all day. That's awesome. Yeah. And there's 2 tits, so I can take one too, Nomad.
It's lovely, man. This is gonna be great. Brad, just keep up your broadcasting chops. I like your voice. I like your presentation. Hopefully that guy over there on the left will feel the same way, and won't be long for you in there too.
Well, let's unmute him here.
Hey, did Brad pop open a beer? What are you drinking there, Brad?
Yeah, he finally got a beer.
It looks like a beer. It looks like a banquet. But now I sound like a giant douche saying this, but it's kombucha.
I knew it. That bottle looked familiar.
It's tasty.
I was watching a video where some guy was saying that he's on the wagon. He's an alcoholic and he hasn't had a drink in years, but he drinks kombucha, and that he's been getting a lot of blowback from people saying, "Oh, if you drink kombucha, you're really still drinking alcohol." I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's got a little. It's like, yeah, it's because it's fermented or something. But
right.
Yeah, so it's just like it. Yeah, it's kind of like a beer.
It's fermenting and giving the probiotics and everything from it, but I imagine it has to create a small amount of liquor or of alcohol because the sugar and the yeast that are, what's breaking down in that fermentation process, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are you getting a buzz from it?
Not at all. Not in the slightest.
Oh, darn.
Buzzing off of you guys with this news. So.
Hey, Brad, you ever heard of a fucking PBR? Get you one.
I actually know someone from the Pabst family. So he can get you to he takes people on tours all the time. But yeah, he drinks Pabst all the time, and yeah, last name Pabst.
I prefer old style.
we drink cheap ass beer around here, Jack. That's all it takes.
Yeah. You can't get if whenever I run across an old style anywhere, I'm like, oh, I gotta buy that because you can't find it anywhere but like Chicagoland. It's just the first beer I ever had in my life was the uncle. Here, try this, kid. Yeah. The first sip I ever had of a beer was old style. So every time I drink old style, it's just like you take that sip and it just kind of goes like back to my childhood brain. Like the first time I tried beer, I was like, oh, that's amazing,
Renewable and rechargeable is halfway through a half case of Natty Ice. That's what he's rolling on.
We'll have to have him on one time when he's halfway through a case of that.
Yeah.
Brad, this is a really good opportunity. Meeting Aldo. If you don't know about the Barroom Network, you got to check it out. He does this. To his point, the Bear Debate is an absolutely great show. It's like a game show where you get 60 seconds to answer some questions, and then there's different formats to it. And Aldo is an excellent host. I mean, he has so much experience in the production of these kinds of things and so many years of it. I really hope that you do. I know you will extend the invite to Brad now, and I can't wait to see him on the show because you're a good conversation, Brad. You were awesome on the show tonight, man.
Hey, thanks, I appreciate it. Didn't even have any drinks in me, so next time.
Can you imagine how good he is when he's got some drinks in him?
Yeah, when I start slurring my words, start cussing up a storm,
Yeah, there wasn't enough fucking swearing in this show, God damn it, Brad.
What the fuck?
There you go.
My 2-year-old might have heard that. Shit.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man. Well, that's awesome. I mean, I think that we should wrap this up now. That's kind of a perfect ending to the show. I mean, Brad, excellent guest. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. We'll extend this up. The olive branch is there for you. Anytime you want to come on, let us know. If we don't get back to you, you did wake her up, didn't you?
No, that's someone else's kid. I'm sorry.
That is the Bear Country podcast, baby.
Oh,
somebody wants to have a party. Damn it! Shit, who is that?
That's the Bears Country podcast, baby being born. That's what he's saying.
That's right.
It's a Chuck E. Cheese. Somebody Chuck E. Cheese is in the wings somewhere.
Sorry, I interrupted Brad's promo there. Go ahead, Mr. Short.
No, I was just saying, awesome to have you on, Brad. Excellent guest. You're welcome on anytime. Like, we would love to have you on. And anytime you want to have us on your show, it's open up. We would love to be on your show anytime you want to have someone to talk shit with. We'll follow your guidelines. I don't know. I haven't really heard you swear on yours, so we'll make sure we don't.
Yeah, I don't. It's just me, so I'm not just cussing to myself,
You just be you, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but definitely, I got some ideas brewing, so we'll definitely be in contact.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, we definitely gonna need that cuss word thesaurus. Pull that shit out, man. Get busy with it.
Yeah,
Start getting creative with it.
Yeah, gosh darn it, Jeepers is popular here in Wisconsin.
My mother-in-law used to say all the time, she gets so frustrated with some shit. Oh, fiddlesticks!
All right.
Say your piece, Nomad.
Man. Well, I just want to reiterate, man. Although, man, I can't. One of these days, I will reveal to you. No, the hell I want. I ain't telling you shit. But one of these days, man. Just one of these days, I'm gonna thank you personally for what you've offered to us and the avenue that you paved for us, man. And I know that I can speak for Shorty as well, dude. Thank you for chopping down these weeds for us and not making us have to go through the path that you must have gone through to get to where you are. Mm-hmm. And so thank you, man. I can never be more grateful than I am right now, man. So thank you.
Appreciate that, Nomad, very much.
I same exact thing he just said. I mean, perfectly said, Nomad. Like, the opportunity you're giving us with this opportunity on Barroom is just amazing, and we're going to be able to keep our own show and work together and cross-pollinate like this. It's the true definition of cross-pollinating. It's fucking amazing. Very excited for what's to come. Next week, we are going to be doing this live from Barroom Network, presented by Barroom Network on their network. And the show is going to look entirely different. So just make sure you set your notifications, make sure you make sure you subscribe, because what the production is going to look entirely different because we now have a fucking professional here. So we're going to get some help with that for our own shows too. And the sky is looking up for everyone here. So Aldo, thank you again. Brad, thank you for coming on the show. Can't wait to do more work with you. Nomad, my brother from another bear. It's been another great show. Look forward to doing the next one with you, buddy. Until then, everyone, you want to do it with me? We're going to do all together now. Bears. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bears.
Bears.
Bears. Bears Country Podcast.
Oh.